Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Whiskey Cove. And on today's episode, we review the last Weller in the Weller lineup to review, and that is Weller Special Reserve. You know the drill, run the video. All right then, folks, if you like today's video, don't forget to hit the like button and smash the subscribe button if you want to become part of the channel there too. Don't forget to go and hit us up on Patreon. We do have a Patreon right now with some fun and interesting stuff over there and some free swag if you sign up for some of the tiers there as well. So on today's episode, like I said earlier on, we review the last and final member of the Weller family, and that is Weller Special Reserve. Did we save the best till last? No one knows. I guess we'll find out, right? So out of all of the Wellers, the highest scoring we've had has been the Weller 12, and the lowest score, surprisingly, has been the Weller single barrel. So where will this sit in those? I guess we shall see. So just looking at the bottle here, exactly like the same as all the other Wellers, but it has a green label instead. It looks pretty cool for a green label. Again, not as cool as some of the other bottles, but I think it looks quite dapper there as well. ABV on this guy is 45% ABV, or 90 proof. Special Reserve. We'll see how special it is now. So much like Weller 12, Weller Special Reserve has a really interesting cork pop in the way that it doesn't have one because it's a screw cap. Cheap, inexpensive screw cap for this premium Special Reserve. Come on, Buffalo Trace, you can do better than that. So, Weller Special Reserve has a pretty bad reputation, which is, I feel, is super unfair on this dude, because let's be honest, it's not his fault. It's really difficult to find all the Wellers, full stop. This is probably the easiest one to find. And when you see a Weller product, you're like, oh, I've been waiting for this Weller bottle all my life. And I know I have my hands on it. It is the Weller Special Reserve, and you're like, this whiskey must be phenomenal. I get it poured into the glass, you'll taste it, and you're like, it's just okay. Because Weller Special Reserve generally is just okay. We'll see today if it can be better than okay or worse than okay. But generally it's just okay. And that's not a knock on this bottle, because it's got a lot to live up to with its other brothers and sisters. But if you put this against other like $20, $25 wheated bourbons like Larceny or regular Maker's Mark, it probably wins that category if you ask me. So let it get in the glass and let's see how it does here as well, and with this beautiful screw cap. So there is the bottle there. Again, 45% ABV, 90 proof. She does look a little thin in the glass, which is expected from a lower proof bourbon. Color-wise, it's a little bit on the lighter color, somewhere between cross between like a gold, like a golden hay type color there as well. Maybe like a very light honey. Yeah, looks pretty thin, like I said, as you could expect. So nose and notes. Let's get into this whiskey on a nose. Weller Special Reserve there. So this is really interesting. I always talk about the cherry note that I get from Buffalo Trace bourbons. This does have it, but this has a different type of cherry note. This has, if you've ever tried Jim Beam Stag, not Stag Genie, the Jim Beam Stag, which is like a red cherry flavored whiskey. And obviously, it's all about the cherry with that whiskey. It kind of has that cherry note, which is almost like very artificially cherry in a way, which is different from the other cherries I get with the Weller products and Buffalo Trace products. It also has a little bit of an amaretto note there as well, like an Italian liqueur, like a Disaronno or Luxardo. The people who make the cherries, I believe they make an Italian liqueur, like an amaretto as well. Not much proof on the nose at all. A little bit of oak. Not much, but it's definitely there too. I can't step away from that Italian liqueur note right now, because you kind of have this like sweet Italian kind of bready note with that as well. It's pretty inviting. The Jim Beam Stag cherry note detracts a lot away from how much I like this nose. The Italian liqueur side is phenomenal, which if you've ever tried an Italian liqueur or smelled it, you do also get a cherry note there as well. But the cherry in this is that Jim Beam Stag note. When I was younger and when I used to make good decisions, I drank One night I drank a lot of that Jim Beam Stag Note, and I was sick. And if you're someone who's ever got sick of a whiskey before, or got sick of any like hard liquor, and you go back to try to drink it or smell it, it's very difficult and off-putting because your body thinks that it's poison. It technically is, but because you've thrown it up, you never want to try to taste that again, and that note is not sitting really well with me at all. It's a good thing that that Italian Di Serrano Amaretto note is there, because otherwise this nose would be not great at all. Apart from that, some classic vanillas, maybe a touch of toffee there as well. Apart from that cherry, no fruit whatsoever, no grain notes, no heat. And, let's go in for a taste while a special reserve. So first off, mouthfeel. Mouthfeel's a little light. It's not too much coat in there as well. Kind of hits your tongue, hits your palate. And then as soon as you take on some of the tasting notes, it kind of the feel just goes away from your mouth there. Very thin is what I'm trying to say with that. So taste-wise, you do get typical kind of peppery note with that. Sometimes I get from Wheatas here right up front there as well. Also get a cherry note, which I'm trying to not associate with the Jim Beam Stag, because it kind of hit in my gag reflex a little bit with that. You get a little bit of oak there, like a very dry oak, maybe like more of like a cedar, but it's definitely more in line with like the Weller oak note there. In terms of the main crux of the body, it's more about like a lighter vanilla, like a softer vanilla note, and like a little bit of caramel corn there as well. Let's go for another taste, so we see if we can pick apart this whiskey anymore. Yeah, it's just quite sweet throughout the whole whiskey. I would say the sweetness is just, like I said, more of a caramel corn. It's quite nice. That note is really nice. If you're able to associate a corn note in whiskey with like caramel popcorn, you tend to like the whiskey a lot more with just like associating it with like a dusty corn note. Because the way your mind and palate and brain works is all about association. And when it comes to tasting whiskey and nosing and tasting notes, we can only really identify flavors that we've been introduced to before. So if you've been introduced to only like dusty corn, and then you taste a corny whiskey, then you're gonna make that association. But if you've had like caramel popcorn, which is for the most part very nice, and you can make that association instead of the dusty corn note, then it helps you enjoy the whiskey a lot more. So I guess maybe what I'm saying is just look up typical tasting notes for whiskeys and see if you can try foods that are prominent with that note there to develop your palate more. There's also companies out there that can send you like samples in like it almost like looks like a medicine box where you have like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It has these like different holes, and it has like tea, it has oak, it has leather, it has cinnamon, it has allspice, it has vanilla, it has all these different ingredients in there, and you can pop the cap and smell it, and then that will help you make the associations while tasting and nosing whiskey. At least that's what I did. I also used to work in the culinary area when I was a little younger as well. I've always been interested in tasted whiskey and craft beer as well, and wine. So I've always done a good job at developing my palate, but also, yes, you can keep drinking whiskey and you'll develop it that way, but if you want to try to speed up the process, you can do what I was saying earlier on. You can get those flavor profiles or those nosing notes ahead of time and make those associations. So as a whole, I digress, as a whole with this whiskey, I have that caramel corn note, but it does also have that bad association with Jim Beam Stag note. It's okay, it's a good whiskey, it fits the category of what it does. So let's talk about value for money, and let's talk about score out of 100. So value for money on this guy, I think I paid about $23 for my Weller Special Reserve. It's quite an easy bottle to find here in Colorado. You might not be able to see it sitting on shelves, but if you know the stores, you get familiar with the stores and you generally know when the whiskey's dropping. say they get a delivery of Weller Special Reserve at like 9 a.m. It'll generally be on the shelf until about 5 or 6 o'clock that night there as well. So you're able to pick up what these as and when if you like. So it's not a hard bottle for me to find. Value for money, I would probably say, like I said, I paid 23. I would say I probably C. I would give it a C. What would I prefer instead of this? I probably would drink the Bernheim 7-year wheat whiskey, which is about $25 to $30 over this. So that's why I'm giving this a B. Value for money is a B. So for score of 100, I'm gonna give this 52. That's not a bad score. I don't want folks to think that my scale is when you hit 50 is a bad score. 50 is just, for me, just middle of the road. It is what it is. It's not bad. It's not good. It's not great. It's just all right. You know, I can pick it up and drink it, have a good time. It's a good whiskey. If this is the only Weller that you can get, I think this will be a great Weller. But if you have a really high standard or an expectation for this bottle, it is not going to fulfill those standards for you. So if you can pick it up for MSRP, I would get it. What would I pay for this bottle if I've never had it before? So the first time I managed to find this, I paid $45 for it. I had a little bit of buyer's regret for that. So I'd probably say about $37 would probably be my limit on trying this for the first time if anybody's looking at home there. So hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to hit the like button as we drink through the world's whiskies one glass at a time. Weller Special Reserve. Cheers.